Hello, my fellow extraordinary Americans. In this video, I talk about the three issues facing America on the financial front and the three-step solution to them. You see, America has always been about freedom, opportunity for a better life, and the pursuit of happiness. For over 400 years, since the days when the Mayflower ship landed upon the shores of America, immigrants have come to this land of promise, seeking liberation and starting a new life. But unfortunately, in the present day, most Americans have become enslaved financially. Most Americans are not free when it comes to the financial front. They're under financial slavery due to losing their jobs, living paycheck to paycheck, and having stagnant wages. They're burdened with inflation and debt of all kinds. Wealth and income inequality runs rampant across America while the middle class is all but disappeared. When there's no freedom, there can never be opportunity nor happiness. Such a disconnect between who we are as Americans and our financial reality cannot be allowed to continue. Therefore, Extraordinary America is about the abolition of financial slavery. It is about the financial freedom of the 99%. It is about the nation of immigrants and descendants of immigrants awakening and unleashing the extraordinary within themselves and setting themselves free. Now, coming to the three major issues confronting Americans on the financial front today. The first is that there is a great level of wealth and income inequality between the 1% and the 99%. Back in 2020, the coronavirus pandemic had created a massive loss of jobs where at least 40 million people lost their incomes. Even though the government managed to offset the crisis temporarily through lots of money printing and low interest rates, another job crisis of epic proportions is right now around the horizon. With the current federal interest rates being where they are, along with automation and AI, we're looking at a massive recession soon, where many companies will go bankrupt and there will be mass layoffs. Of those people that do have jobs now, many of them are just living one paycheck to another, trading their time for money. They're going through these dead-end jobs that they don't really like, sometimes 2 to 3 of them, just to make ends meet. They're doing this because they have got to pay their bills and they've got to pay their debts. This is creating a lot of stress and anxiety, and most don't even have hope for the future. Moreover, many are working in a narcissistic work culture in corporate America and blue-collar America, where they have these bosses and corporate heads who have no compassion for them. They're just cogs in the wheel, and there's utter apathy and indifference for them. They're underpaid, overworked, as essentially replaceable because of abundance of labor, which is caused due to outsourcing, which in turn is caused due to globalization. The second problem is the reduction of our currency's purchasing power and overall wealth over a period of time. At this point, we are at the precipice of a massive devaluation of the US dollar due to massive money printing by the government and the banks. Our overall purchasing power and overall wealth has been reduced due to stagflation, which is stagnant wages over a period of time, combined with inflation of prices, aka rise in the cost of living. Globalization has caused the outsourcing of many jobs, where we now have an abundance of cheap labor for corporations from third world countries. So companies can afford to pay a lower income to most people and make them work longer hours, as well as overwork them because they know that most of us are replaceable. Compounding this problem is us as a nation and individuals taking on debt. In order to keep and maintain our lifestyle over a period of time, we take on debt. Since debt is a spend now, pay later way of life, it's really enticing and looks very appealing. It's easy money, but once you start getting into debt, that's when you realize that at some point you have to pay off those student loans, mortgages, and credit cards, and that too with interest. That's when you're forced to work, even if you don't want to, just to pay it all off. So when you combine stagflation and debt together, you see why the middle class has been disappearing. The third problem, which is a continuation of the second, is that right now with the current federal interest rates, we're on a metaphorical cliff looking down into a recession. If that happens, it'll be followed by another massive inflation, if not hyperinflation of the US dollar, where the US dollar will be devalued in a massive way and our purchasing power and all our savings will be gone. there will be a massive rise in prices and cost of living. You see, the problems created from the 2008 crisis as well as the 2020 pandemic has not really been solved. It has merely been postponed. What they did to solve the 2008 banking crisis and the 2020 pandemic crisis was that they printed massive amounts of fiat money, which is backed by nothing. And then they put it into the stock market, real estate, bonds, etc., which created a massive everything bubble. They also had zero interest rates on top of that for the longest time. But now, due to the relatively high interest rates, at some point there will be a popping of all these bubbles. And when that happens, many businesses will close and a lot of people are going to lose their jobs as a result. And what's going to happen is that in response to that, the banks and the government are going to print a lot of money, which they did for 2008 and again in 2020. And they're going to lower interest rates again, which will eventually result in big inflation, if not hyperinflation. Our savings will be destroyed because the same $100 or $1,000 that you have that could purchase a certain amount of goods in the grocery store or anywhere else will now be able to purchase even less because of all that extra currency. Because whenever currency is created, it is devaluing every individual dollar that's out there. In the short term, we solve these problems on a personal level by investing in non-dollar denominated assets such as precious metals and the right cryptocurrencies to protect your purchasing power from inflation. However, in the long term, it is done by the three-step solution. The first step is the transformation of the 99% into entrepreneurs and investors on the light side, aka with ethics, with the goal of financial freedom for all. This is to be done through financial literacy and education with regards to money, precious metals, real estate, starting a business, as well as entrepreneurship and investing. For that is the path to financial independence. Financial literacy and education is one of the pillars of an economic ideology known as Ethonomics. Ethonomics is a new economic structure defined by a foundation in science, mathematics, and ethics. It is about success in both the short term and the long term, as well as a mindset of focus on abundance and prosperity over survival and scarcity. The United States economy was formed after an 18th century Scottish philosopher, Adam Smith, published the book The Wealth of Nations in 1776. In his book, Smith popularized many of the ideas that form the basis of our current system. Years later, other economists built on Smith's work to solidify classical economic theory, which became the foundation for the economic structure through the Great Depression, a time when scarcity thinking was in abundance. The objective was to create what would be deemed as a mixed economy, an economic system that would feature the character of both capitalism and socialism. The belief was that a mixed economic system would protect some private property and allow a level of economic freedom in the use of capital, but also allow for governments to intervene in economic activities in order to achieve social aims on behalf of the public good. By studying the evidence and historical data over many decades, we can now definitely conclude the following. Firstly, those who have created significant wealth did so by operating outside of the foundational principles set out by Smith and our current economic structure. Secondly, that the study of scarcity will never and can never lead to a greater wealth position. This is true for the same reason that it is impossible to attain optimal health by exclusively focusing on disease and surrounding oneself with the sick. Things are not brought into existence by focusing on their opposites. Today, Adam Smith is still considered the father of modern economics, and his system continues to operate and spread throughout the globe. This structure is a complex network of interactions that governs the production, distribution, and consumption of resources. While it has undoubtedly brought about some advancements and improvements in several aspects of society, it is not without significant flaws, namely that it perpetuates poverty and oppression. As mentioned, one of the foundational pillars of Ethonomics involves the transformation of the 99% into entrepreneurs and investors with ethics through financial literacy and education. But that is the only way financial freedom can be attained on a permanent, sustainable level in our lives. The best we can do as individuals is educate ourselves and make the most of ourselves. Only through knowledge can we defeat ignorance and gain greater mobility in our lives. Only then can we end financial slavery. When we talk about knowledge, we're talking about entrepreneurship, starting a business, money, precious metals, real estate, how the financial and banking system works, and finally, the knowledge to counter stagflation and debt. The second step is the creation of spirituo-economic institutions led by jedipreneurs who serve humanity for the one Father of the universe. They are spiritual-minded entrepreneurs who combine the principles of the law of one and neo-humanism with Ethonomics. The institution consists of three structures, namely a temple, academy, and corporation. These institutions will provide free or subsidized essentials of life, such as food, clothes, housing, healthcare, and education, as well as provide the necessary financial support and education for the people in their jurisdiction to become financially free. This is because all the people in this universe are the sons and daughters of the one Father of the universe. This Father is a benevolent 1% Father, and everyone, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, gender, ethnicity, are part of his family. Jedipreneurs serve humanity for the sake of the one Father, and they see the Father in all of creation and have the goal of eradicating poverty for his sake. They're tolerant of all faiths, and they believe in combining the law of one and neo-humanistic ideologies with Ethonomics when it comes to uplifting humanity. They see the Father of the universe as a 1% Father and all beings as part of his family. If you look at a 1%er family where either the father or both the parents are entrepreneurs, you see that from a small age, they teach the children thoughts and actions that set them up for financial success. The 1% father and mothers do it because they love their children and want to make sure that their children are bred for financial freedom. They always get a leg up with regards to financial knowledge and support. So now, if you take the same concept and you put it towards all of humanity globally and even on a national level as well, you realize that we are all children of the one universal Father of the universe, who is the ultimate 1%er on the light side. He created all the fathers and mothers in all the galaxies of the universe, including the 1%ers. Essentially, what that means is that we are all children of a 1%er family. Jedipreneurs are merely the instruments of the Divine Father's will to financially free his children and at the very least give them a higher standard of living. They're like the older brothers and sisters of the one Father's family, and they strive to look out for the family's well-being financially, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The jedipreneur institutions will consist of a temple where people can worship the one Father and commune with the source of all beings and of all creation. They will have an academy where people will be given financial as well as spiritual knowledge and their application towards financial and spiritual freedom. Finally, the institution will have a corporation or business through which jedipreneurs will financially liberate those under their jurisdiction, as well as provide the 5 essentials such as food, clothing, housing, healthcare, and education. The people in the jurisdiction will be treated the same way children of 1%er families are. This type of system has been practiced in some Middle East countries such as Kuwait, where the nation has a corporation which makes money from oil and distributes the proceeds that they get from it towards free or subsidized housing, healthcare, education, and food for its citizens. Instead of using oil money, jedipreneurs will use multiple streams of income from different sources to achieve the same goal. Extraordinary America strives to create a jedipreneur institution of its own in order to serve as a prototype and inspire others to do the same, not just for our nation, but for the nations across the world. The third step is the replacement of the current debt-based fiat monetary system with the American Dream Standard, aka the uplifted human standard. You see, for thousands of years, gold and silver were considered money by the entire world, and they were a store of value. However, what is considered valuable by society is not considered valuable by the one Father of the universe. He considers the upliftment of his sons and daughters as the ultimate store of value, and that should be the foundation of our monetary system. What that means is that just as gold coins were obtained after mining them and refining them out of gold mines, we should have American dream coins or humanity upliftment coins to which our national currency is pegged. These coins can only be created after we have verifiably uplifted a human being for a certain amount of time. If this happens, humanity will uplift and serve their fellow human beings the way the One Father wants them to, with the same zeal and enthusiasm as the gold rush of 1849. To understand this better, we must first understand the difference between quantity money and quality money. Quantity money is basically money that is backed by nothing scarce or tangible and can be printed in large amounts at will by just using a printing press. This has throughout history always led to the currency being destroyed through hyperinflation. Quality money is money backed by something tangible and scarce, usually by a commodity metal such as gold and silver. This helps retain the purchasing power of your money over long periods of time due to its relative scarcity, which makes it valuable. Until 1971, we were under a gold standard, which means that our monetary system was backed by gold. Quality money backed by gold is all well and good. However, this won't help eradicate poverty and give humanity a higher standard of living. It will lead to the transfer of wealth from one group to another. This doesn't solve the problem of wealth and income inequality. We propose neither the fiat standard nor the gold standard. What we propose instead is the American dream standard, aka the uplifted human standard. You see, money is nothing but a collectively accepted idea by society. It is the unit of account for perceived value, medium of exchange for perceived value, and a store of perceived value. The reason we use gold as money was because we collectively perceived it as valuable. We accept fiat money because everybody collectively perceives it and accepts it as value. What we value collectively becomes money. But what if we turn our perception inwards? What we realize is that what gives value to anything is us human beings. Rather than learn alchemy to transform base metal into gold, as many have tried in the past centuries, we simply understand that we are the gold. We are the money. Our upliftment is the gold. Our upliftment is the money. We turn our attention collectively from the external objects like gold to ourselves and our upliftment instead. And when it comes to the One Father, we see that whenever he sent his prophets, he did so to uplift humanity rather than for gold and silver. To him, uplifted human beings was the value, uplifted human beings was the gold, uplifted human beings was the money. Therefore, what we propose instead of the gold or the fiat standard is the uplifted human standard, aka the American dream standard, for there's nothing scarcer and more valuable in this universe than an uplifted human being. Instead of money being created in large amounts out of the printing press, like with fiat money, or money being created out of gold mines by mining and refining gold from gold ore, money shall be created when human beings are uplifted instead. Money shall be created when human beings are verifiably given food, clothes, shelter, healthcare, education, their freedom and civil rights. Money shall be created when human beings are socio-economically uplifted and financially liberated and given the American dream. Why? Because human beings, our corporations, are motivated by self-interest, and money is a supreme symbol of self-interest. When we collectively accept human upliftment as money, they will go ahead and do so, for they are now incentivized. Poverty shall finally be finished. Remember, my fellow extraordinary Americans, there is an extraordinary within each and every one of us, and it's our duty to awaken it and unleash it. Until next time.